spirit of reconciliation, the P&C Federation New South Wales acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout New South Wales and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Today we have Polly with us from the Pelvic Pain Foundation of Australia, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about the PPEP Talk program. Polly, would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Gemma. My name's Polly Levinson, so I'm a clinical educator with the Periods, Pain and Endometriosis program, which is PPEP Talk. I'm also a pelvic physiotherapist in my other job. I deliver PPEP Talk to students right across New South Wales.
Thank you. So can you tell us a bit more about what PPEP Talk is and how it started?
Yeah, so PPEP Talk was sort of born out of, there was a national action plan for endometriosis, which was like a bipartisan federal government agreement that was launched back in 2018, which sort of recognised the issue that endometriosis has for many Australian girls, women and gender diverse people assigned female at birth. So it's kind of like a blueprint for the government to recognise the issues and the consequences and try and improve the trajectory of sufferers. So they identified 3 priorities with this national plan, and the first is education and awareness. So that's sort of how PPEP Talk was born. So we started in 2019 to deliver like medically accurate information to high school students. So we're aimed at students in year 10 to try and teach them what's normal and not normal when it comes to period pain and pelvic pain, bringing out that awareness of endometriosis, because it still takes on average 6.5 years from onset of symptoms to when someone gets a formal diagnosis of endometriosis. So trying to improve earlier identification and better treatment options for people who suffer from that. And so
no wonder education is critical.
Yeah.
That's a really shocking statistic too.
Yeah, it's more common than asthma and more common than diabetes, but wow. There's still a lot of things that we don't know about endo and the impacts. Yeah.
And so, do you have some sort of insight into how prevalent severe period pain is, and in teenagers what they might be grappling with, and the sorts of ways we can support our teenagers and our young people?
Yeah, we have visited, I think it's over 115,000 students right across the country now since PPEP Talk's inception. And every time we do sessions, we have evaluation forms for students to fill out. So we're gathering a lot of information about the prevalence and impacts that period pain and pelvic pain and endo has on young people. We just last month had a paper published in the Australian and New Zealand Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology. So this paper looked at the responses from over 13,000 females and students assigned female at birth, looking at that prevalence and impact. And we found 53% said they experienced regular severe period pain. Wow. And 23% tell us that they regularly miss school or work because of their period symptoms. So that's nearly one in 4.
My goodness, that is incredible knowledge gained straight from the ground. It's a fantastic work that you're doing, getting into schools and gathering that information. What sort of tools does the PPEP Talk program give our young people in terms of dealing with, severe pelvic pain?
Yeah, so we, as I said before, we're trying to educate them around what's normal and not normal, and then sort of educating everyone on simple things that they can do to better manage pain, through to different medicines they might try. If they go and talk to a doctor, some of the things that a doctor might recommend. So I guess trying to build that health literacy, so if someone does go and speak to a doctor, they've heard of some of these things before, and it's not all just scary new information. Yeah. We also talk about when someone might even be referred to a gynecologist, surgery that, potentially might be indicated at some point in someone's life. But we're basically talking through all the evidence-based options that are out there. We're not being prescriptive. We're more sort of trying to build that health literacy so, young people can make informed choices about what they want to do for their own health and their own bodies. But it's also about educating everyone. So, not everyone who has a period has really bad pain, but yeah, educating them about how to be more empathetic and how to support people in their lives who might experience pain. So it's, sort of an all of society, all of community approach, not just looking at this as, girls' problems and women's problems, but how as a society we can sort of shift that normalisation of severe period pain.
I mean, that's fantastic, because that's what it should be, and I think that we're in a fairly new space when it comes to, obviously, the curriculum's changed with consent curriculum being rolled out. We've got a lot of movement in trying to support that all-of-community approach in schools towards dealing with some of these issues that traditionally have kind of been a little bit taboo and a little bit difficult to talk about. Is there, more that you can tell us about the way you're supporting, when we talk about all of community, maybe, our boys in schools and parents and teachers, do they all come together as part of the program?
Yeah, so I guess when our program started, our sort of flagship program was to deliver this education to girls and female students. But from then we've developed a program for males. And this program, we actually do discuss male pelvic pain as well, which possibly has even more taboo associated with it than female pelvic pain. But yeah, I guess the male program, we are really talking about how to be a supportive, friend, son, maybe you have a sister at home, and just trying to make it relevant for them in terms of their whole life. One day they might be in the workforce or they might have a partner and, potentially a daughter. And so if we have better understanding right through all of society, we can create more supportive environments at school, at universities, in the workplace, so that, people aren't regularly, missing out. And I guess that's the key. If someone, their menstrual symptoms are so impactful that they say they regularly miss school, they miss work, even just miss doing the fun things because of their period symptoms, that's a sign to get some more help. And we've got to stop as a society saying, just got to put up with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we all know that this is out there, but the ability to talk about it to your peers, your colleagues, your fellow students, your friends, is not easy unless you've got the tools to do that. So it sounds like that's what the program equips our young people with.
Yeah, and interestingly with boys, because we have these great sort of evaluation forms and feedback forms from the boys as well. And one thing we have noticed is the majority of them are open to knowing or want to know how they can support, people in their lives who have this sort of pain. And so often after doing a session with male students, you'll have a number of students come up to you at the end and sort of, talk about the experience they've noticed that their mum might have, or their sister or their friend, and, talking about some of the tools that they might use to better support those people in their lives, which is, if you're reaching a few people, it really does feel like you're making a difference there.
It's such a good news story. I love hearing that. And I know that, we do talk to parents regularly who are trying to navigate these conversations in the home. And it's, not always easy for them to have these conversations if they themselves didn't get this education when they were at school.
And that's a really good point, Gemma. I think the number one comment we get from teachers is, I wish I had this education when I was at school. And something I often say to the students is, after today, you probably know a lot more about this than your parents, because when I was at school, it was normalised and we did just sort of have to put up with it. But now knowing what's normal and what's not normal, and encouraging, if it's, if symptoms are not normal, going to the doctor, having these conversations earlier so you get your pain better controlled, so that you're not missing out on things. And also, regular severe period pain can very quickly lead to chronic pain. And, 1 in 3 young people with chronic pain have a higher rate of absenteeism from school.
I mean, that is it is shocking. 1 in 3, my gosh. I mean, it is a bit of a scary thing to think about our young people missing out on school because of something that is a lived experience for so many people. I think it would be really interesting for parents to hear a lot of these statistics. I know myself, I'm taking a lot of this on board and it's all new to me. How would a parent or even a P&C association, if this sounds like an opportunity that's exciting to them, they want to either roll it out into their school for students or they want to get some of this knowledge themselves, what would they do?
Yeah, so we do, on our website, which is pelvicpain.org.au, there is like an online form where like a school or a community group, even a sporting group, can sort of register interest. So that's sort of a national page, but that will get directed to New South Wales, if it's a New South Wales based association, and then we can sort of follow that up with what that school wants. So in terms of for parents, our flagship periods pain endometriosis program, we don't usually run a parents session. However, for some particular groups, like we have a tailored session for intellectually and developmentally delayed students, and then we run a session for parents and carers of those students sort of that runs alongside it. We also have a new menstrual education program which looks at menstrual education for young people. So this program can start as young as year 5. So we can do year 5 and 6 in primary, or sort of years 7 to 9 in high school. And we have had interest from schools before where they also want the parents to receive some information as well. So we can definitely be flexible with what a school would like. And I guess another option is we run community sessions as well. So we've done sessions before for like the Girls Brigade or different Indigenous groups where it's sort of all of community can attend. It doesn't have to be sort of those 15 to 16-year-old.
That's amazing to know that there's that level of flexibility in dispersing this information amongst community. I'm really excited to hear that. I know at the moment, it's a tricky space because we are sort of on the precipice of this being rolled out more firmly in public schools in New South Wales. What does it look like at the moment in terms of getting this information into our schools?
Yeah, so at the moment, schools will need to approach us to sort of facilitate a session. They can come to us through the website. At the moment, we don't have any funding to provide it free of charge. So we have been sort of like working with P&Cs, for example, to look at different ways they might be able to fundraise for the program. And I mean, schools do have a budget, for wellbeing programs, and they can definitely, if they have identified that this is an issue for their school and a need, then they can definitely, talk to the school about allocating some of that funding to get PEP Talk in. We've been working really hard at trying to lobby the New South Wales state government to get some funding for our programs, or even just menstrual education and pain education at large. And I know there is an external wellbeing catalogue out there which, to my knowledge, there aren't any menstrual ed, period pain or endometriosis programs that are currently listed, because there are themes for that catalogue, so there's no sort of theme that neatly fits that in. But we did have some movement just last month with trying to get a motion through Parliament to potentially open up a tender, so programs like ours can at least apply for listing on this catalogue, which would just make it more accessible, I think, so that more schools know that we're out there, because sometimes it's sort of getting the message out of what programs are even available to then get into the schools and speak to the students.
Well, I know that's why it was so important for us to talk to you, because we get those sorts of inquiries, and it's very hard for parents to try and research and navigate what they actually need to meet the demand of their young people in schools. And a lot of P&Cs do invite students in, the SLC representatives come in and they say, this is what we are asking for, but what do you do then as a parent? It's quite challenging to sort of find what you need.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, we've had former students find out, in the space about our program and go back to their schools and say, you need to get this program in. I wish I'd had this, like young people who are now sort of in their, early 20s, sort of, championing what they feel is an issue, and from that lived experience what would be really helpful.
Oh, I think that's absolutely brilliant, and I'm not surprised to hear that at all, because I know if I was in school right now, I'd be asking for this education. So it's really, really great that you're delivering it. I know that it's tied to the curriculum as well. Is it sort of a neat fit if we're going to perhaps as parents approach our school principal and talk about the benefits and the way it fits in with what the school might be doing? Are there ties
Yeah, there are definitely links to the Australian curriculum for health and physical education.
Great.
So yeah, when we deliver a session at a school, or even before that, we can provide a guide to schools and teachers which sort of outlines all those links, but really sort of trying to build like critical thinking and challenging some of those biases and societal norms. Understanding sort of the diversity of how pelvic pain can present as well. But yeah, all those links are like sort of clearly set out in this guide, and it also has some follow-up activities that schools might want to do sort of after a session as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. So it sounds like there's lots of information out there. Where do people go if they want to find out more about the program and about, the Pelvic Pain Foundation?
Yeah, so our website is pelvicpain.org.au, and then there's like a tab there for PEP Talk, where you'll find all the information that you need about the different programs that we do offer. And then there's also lots of like resources about like free downloads and other resources that are available on the website. That we do provide schools with a lot of those sort of resources, so that they can, following on from a session, make sure that they're set up to sort of have some of the resources and things like heat packs and TENS machines and things like that their students can access to keep them involved in school and stop them from missing out.
Those practical tips are so helpful, because those are the sorts of additional resources that P&Cs purchase for schools, and even just having an awareness that might be something that students have demand for but haven't articulated to the school yet is really meaningful for P&Cs. So it's definitely worth parents and P&Cs engaging with this material and learning more. I mean, I've already learned so much from you just today. Is there anything else you'd want to share with our parents while we've got them as a captive audience?
I guess just that we do have so many different programs, and we're very happy to work with a school to sort of make sure that the session that we're delivering to the school is exactly what that school needs. So we can be a bit flexible. So we're based in Sydney, but we do trips all over New South Wales. So if there is, interest from a more like regional school, it's always good to know in advance when we are planning trips, so that we can make sure, we're not coming to your area just after you've, just missed out. It's really good for sort of our planning, like when we are going to those regional areas, to know who would have interest, so we can make sure that we're not missing anyone who wants us.
Oh, that is absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate all of this knowledge, and I really can't wait for parents to start engaging with this program, because I know that I wish I'd had it while I was in school. I hope my kids have it, and you are delivering some amazing, amazing information to people who need it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Gemma.
Thank you.